Today is Saturday, November 16th, 2019. Let's talk about the first week of the public impeachment hearings. Hi, I'm Sarah Arnett, and this is Right Chick Politics. Leading up to the public hearings, the Dems had promised that we would hear explosive and damaging testimony that would incriminate President Trump. And I think that we can all agree that once the week concluded, that testimony simply did not exist. And I believe at this point, the Dems are losing control of their impeachment narrative. This week, we heard from three witnesses from the Democratic side: diplomat George Kent, Ambassador William Taylor, as well as former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. Of the three, not a single one was able to testify that they were on the July 25th phone call between President Trump and Ukraine President Zelensky, or that they had ever spoken directly to President Trump. Therefore, their testimonies were based strictly on opinion and pure speculation as to what President Trump's intent was, or hearsay based on what other people might have told them. Now, all three did testify that the U.S. security assistance in providing lethal aid to Ukraine so that they can properly defend themselves from enemies in their area has been far greater under President Trump than it was under President Obama. I think the greatest takeaway on Wednesday, the first day of the public hearings, was when George Kent testified that the U.S. had to spend taxpayer money to try to help Ukraine recover stolen funds from then energy company Burisma owners Mykola Shlovetsky. So U.S. taxpayer money is being used to go after this incredibly corrupt business owner. And then months later, the vice president's son and this then Secretary of State's former advisor were both allowed to start a foreign international fund and join the board of this incredibly corrupt Ukrainian business owner. That makes no sense and absolutely warrants further investigation. Let's take a look at that testimony here.
We thought that Mykola Zlochevsky had stolen money. We thought a prosecutor had taken a bribe to shut the case, and those were our main concerns.
And are you in favor of that matter being fully investigated and prosecuted?
I think since U.S. taxpayer dollars were wasted, I would love to see the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office find who the corrupt prosecutor was that took the bribe and how much it was paid. And that's what I said to the Deputy Prosecutor General on February 3rd, 2015.
I thought the most explosive testimony this week was when Representative Stefanik was questioning Ambassador Yovanovitch about Obama's State Department prepping her for her Senate confirmation hearing, and that they specifically brought up questions that might arise regarding Hunter Biden joining the board of Burisma. Take a look here.
The first time you personally became aware of Burisma was actually when you were being prepared by the Obama State Department for your Senate confirmation hearings. And this was in the form of practice questions and answers. This was your deposition. And you testified that in this particular practice Q&A with the Obama State Department, it wasn't just generally about Burisma and corruption, it was specifically about Hunter Biden and Burisma. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the exact quote from your testimony, Ambassador, is, quote, "The way the question was phrased in this model Q&A was, what can you tell us about Hunter Biden's, being named to the board of Burisma?" So for the millions of Americans watching, President Obama's own State Department was so concerned about potential conflicts of interest from Hunter Biden's role at Burisma that they raised it themselves while prepping this wonderful ambassador nominee before her confirmation. And yet our Democratic colleagues and the chairman of this committee cry foul when we dare ask that same question that the Obama State Department was so concerned about.
One of my favorite parts of the hearing on Friday was Nunes's opening statement. Check it out here.
Instead, the Democrats have convened us once again to advance their operation to topple a duly elected president, so Americans can rightly suspect that his phone call with President Zelensky was used as an excuse for the Democrats to fulfill their Watergate fantasies. Chairman Schiff claimed not to know who it is. Yet he also vowed to block us from asking questions that could reveal his or her identity. Republicans on this committee are left wondering how it's even possible for the chairman to block questions about a person whose identity he claims not to know.
Now let's talk about the whistleblower who came up multiple times, both on Wednesday and Friday in the public hearings. At one point, Adam Schiff went around on the news cycles and in papers indicating that it was absolutely crucial that the committee got to hear from the whistleblower and perhaps ask some questions. And then he changed his tune and said that the whistleblower's testimony is irrelevant. Well, I believe that cannot be further from the truth. One, the whistleblower's knowledge was secondhand, which means somebody who was on the call was leaking information to somebody who perhaps does not have authorization to receive and is not privy to that particular phone conversation that occurred between President Trump and President Zelensky. In closing, I don't believe the Democrats thought it was ever going to get this far, and that it was just another thing to go after Trump and make the American people suspicious of him, and they didn't think it was going to get this public. And now we got to hear firsthand that so far they do not have any damaging or explosive testimony that Schiff claimed to have when he would come out of those closed door hearings and have the depositions and leak just certain information that sort of helped push their narrative a little bit. And I don't believe they ever thought that President Trump would release the memorandum of the phone call on July 25th that occurred between him and President Zelensky, and then subsequently released a second memorandum yesterday right before the hearing started. I'll leave you with my final thought. Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff have continuously stated that they're not doing this for political purposes and that they're doing this for the American people. And if that is the case, then prove it by allowing the Republicans to have every single person they have on their list come in and testify. And if it's not appropriate to do in the public forum, then do it behind closed doors. But do not stonewall the Republicans from asking individuals questions that they feel are relevant to this impeachment investigation. I want to thank you for joining me for this recap of the first week of the public impeachment hearings. Please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and comment below what you think. This is Sarah Arnett with Right Chick Politics.